NSFW, what's the best accidental nudity you've ever seen? Last day of school. A bunch of us went to the rich kid's house for a pool party. Friend and I are tossing around a football in the shallow end when one of the hottest girls at the party surfaced too quickly from diving in the pool. And her bikini top shifted enough to show both of her nipples. As a pervy high school kid who wanted nothing more than to see her tits before I died, my wish was fulfilled. I was acting in a play that had a big audience participation portion. And every night we would bring a couple of people from the audience up on stage to do so, and so. One of the last performances, we call a young, beautiful girl from the audience to come up and participate. It was warm at that time of the year and she was wearing a very nice flowery dress with no straps. When she started going down the steps towards the stage, some magical force, some call it gravity, made her strapless dress slip and fall, revealing a couple of amazingly beautiful breasts. It lasted only a second and I was the only one of my co-actors to spot it as I was looking directly at her. I had to immediately establish contact with her, and needless to say that was my hardest challenge as an actor. Keep a straight face when all I wanted was to smile like a giddy idiot who just saw boobs. TLDR. Actor. Audience member called on stage. Dress slips. Shows boobs. Show must go on. Friend's twin sister, not identical twins obviously, when I was a teenager staying at his place. She came into one of those bathrooms that has two entrances from her room with nada on. Magical. Did pizza delivery when I was at uni. One evening a young lady answers the door in just a towel. Had her change in one hand and reached up for the pizza with the other. Never trust the towel. Sadly, this one best case of accidental nudity was by far and away outweighed by a lot of worst case. Not always even that accidental. Nudity. It's ridiculous how many people think that while waiting for the pizza guy is a good time to slip in a quickie. When I was around 12 I was at my friend's house swimming. He had a diving board, a rarity these days. I was on a chair drying off and after a jump by his 18-year-old sister. She pulled herself out of the pool by the ladder. Her right boob was completely exposed. She stood there. No fucks given. Looked me in the eye and put it back. It was a confused boner. She was hot. I was 12 living in a day before the internet was mainstream, so seeing boobs was a rarity. But in her eyes I realized she could crush me physically and mentally if she wished. One time me and about 5-6 friends were leaving my friend's house to go play basketball at the courts. As we walked out his front door, I so happened to look up at his neighbor's top floor window. He lived on one side of a double. This is when I saw his Chinese neighbor with her shirt off, getting dressed in front of the window. I pointed up and everyone saw boobs and started yelling, "Ooh." All of a sudden she spun her head around, shocked to see a bunch of teenage boys admiring her breasticles. We scattered like cockroaches, everyone going in different directions, running away from the house yelling and giggling. Since that day I discovered I had boobie vision. And the neighbor always smiled at us when we saw her on the front porch. We took over a tanning salon for a friend because the girl he had running it was losing money. This was not your typical tanning salon. 3 beds in a converted house. Went outside to smoke one day after working 15 hours. Nighttime, so right out the front door as we had one girl tanning and no other customers. I knelt down watching cars go by and turned to say something to a friend and you could see directly through a space and the curtains to the room with the tanning bed. Full frontal with a soft glow. Legs spread. No idea how long it had been like that, but there was a sidewalk not 10 feet away, so probably a lot of free shows going on. Stood in front of the crack until she left and fixed the curtains, but why? I had a crush on this really hot Asian girl in college. One day while we were in the library studying for an exam, I noticed that she had a loose cut shirt on and a bra that really didn't fit her well. Whenever she leaned forward, I got a good clean look at her nipples in plain view. It was like this for 3 hours. When I got back to my dorm, I had to wank one out of what I just saw. That one is still burned into my memory for the wank bank whenever I don't have access to porn. Walking at the outdoor mall downtown and this lady stepped on her skirt. It dropped, revealing 2 glorious cheeks and a lacy black thong. It was nice. First night of res at university. A few of us, all guys, were standing outside having a smoke. Girl is in her dorm room right beside us with the blinds open in a sexy tight black dress, and one of the guys knows her. He starts walking to the window to invite her out. She takes off her dress and walks across her room. Her thong matched her dress. No bra at all to match. Suffice to say, the guy didn't call out to her and we enjoyed the view, swearing not to speak about it again. Fresh bonding. About 2 or 3 years ago, I just arrived at my girl best friend's house and walked inside yelling I was there like usual. My friend yelled back that she was in her room, so I walked upstairs and turned the other way at first to say hi to her sister, who is 2-3 years older than me. I notice her door is open, so I went inside after coming around the corner. Something I had done a million times. She was just ass naked staring out her window. And turns around and I get the full show before she starts laughing and covering herself, and I back out of the room horrified. Always had a crush on her and I still fap to the memory of those 2 seconds. The summer between my freshman and sophomore year of college, I switched from living in the campus dorms to an apartment. It was my first full day living there and I decided to bike over to one of the more secluded beaches to skimboard and read. While I'm lying back and reading, I hear a bunch of girls shrieking excitedly. I look up and see about 8 girls skinny dipping, some of them topless, some of them fully nude. All of them hot. The beach had plenty of no camping signs, but I still pitched a tent. A colleague of mine has like the best tits in the world. I'm the only guy in a small shop full of girls. One day other colleagues commented on her tan, which ran from her back over her shoulder. So she was like, what, and pulled away her top in front of the mirror to get a better look. She did it a bit too hard though, and half her tit came flying out. Guess who was standing there too? That day was a good day. Girl sitting on the sidewalk across the street from me didn't realize that the street was kind of sloped and that she was a good 3-4 feet higher than me. I was sitting on a bench getting a perfect view of her bare ass and pussy. Either she was pantyless, or it was being gobbled up by her stuff. Regardless though, it was great. I was sitting on that bench for a good while, even after she left. Friend was teaching me some yoga while wearing a dress. Really hot MILF white teacher in high school. Always wore these tight dresses. One day, she wore a much more loose fitting one. Walking through the parking lot, gust of wind came through. You can predict the rest. When I was 12, I had a babysitter that would come over occasionally to watch my younger siblings while my parents went out. This was no average babysitter, however. She was hot. Very hot. One Monday morning before school, I tell my mom that I needed a flash drive for a grade at school. Not having a spare, she tells me to borrow the one that our babysitter had left at our house from the last time she came over. She then jokingly says, "You might want to check it before you go to school to make sure there is nothing bad on it." And we just laugh it off as I put it in my pocket. That day at school I showed my computer teacher and received full credit for the flash drive. That's not the only thing I received that day. When I returned home I figured I might as well plug it in and see what's on it. Immediately after plugging it in, Windows Media Player opens and lo and behold, a full album of my nude babysitter was presented to me. The 12-year-old me was amazed. TLDR, hot babysitter leaves flash drive at my house. I use it for school. Doubles as a childhood fantasy full of babysitter nudes. I went home with a girl I was seeing for the first time. In the morning, I wake up and this girl's friend, who has an amazing rack, comes into the bedroom to change her shirt plus bra. She doesn't realize I'm there in the bed until she's topless. It wasn't weird. We all had a laugh about it. When I was in Cuba, for some reason the hotel had the reflective surface of the sliding door on the inside of the room, rather than facing the sun outside on the balcony. So the result was that inside it functioned like a full-length mirror. On the outside when it was night you could see right in. I was walking up to my room when I saw this girl in her 30s shaking her tits back and forth and trying to suck her own nipples. It was hilarious until she realized it and opened the door to glare at me. Haha. I saw the mother of some girl I didn't know the name of coming out of the shower and walking into her bedroom completely nude. I was playing DuckTales on their TV. Nick apartment. Neighbor's bedroom window faced mine and was about 10 feet away. She never turned her light off. Ever. Slept with her light on. She must have had a mirror next to that window because she would frequently stand there naked looking at herself, all of herself. From what I could tell, she was a grad student. Edit. This also confirmed my long-held theory that women don't understand that windows remain transparent from the outside at night when the lights in the house are on. When I was a teenager, I was at a water park standing in line for the River Rapids ride. A couple of teenage girls were in line just in front of me. For some reason, one of them all of the sudden pulled the top down on the other's swimsuit. Alas, that I'm horribly nearsighted and didn't have my glasses with me. I could make out just enough to know what had happened, but not enough to enjoy what had happened. That made it worse than if it hadn't happened at all. I was working a Trans-Siberian Orchestra show and the blonde violinist came backstage. She tore her dress off and put another on in an instant. Back on stage she went. Circa 20 speechless dudes standing there in awe. When I was a young teen, 13 maybe 14, I went swimming at my cousin's pool. She and a friend had just started college. Her friend was really good looking but super religious. She wore a very conservative one-piece suit. To make it less revealing, it was made of a thick material and it was not tight on her body. The best way I can describe the material is that it looked like what towels are made of. Anyway, she got in the pool and when she was getting out, the water-soaked material hung low, revealing a full bush private parts view from the side as she stepped out. 14-year-old me was very thankful for her shoe choice.